I'm tidying up the workshop before it becomes a proper guitar workshop again, and I've just dug out this old piece of timber and I'm removing the nails on these pieces as I go and stacking them out of the way. Some people might look at that and think, well, that's a mess. That's waste wood. That's firewood. And it could be if you choose to make it firewood. Anything's firewood if you burn it. I actually think that I'm going to use this as an illustration. I mean, look how bad that is. Oh, terrible. All split, full of holes. I'm going to use this as an illustration of the fact that there's good wood in a lot of places if you know where to look for it. And I'm no expert. I'm still, relatively new at this, but I'm starting to get the knack for knowing where to look. So I'm going to try and tidy this up to the point where I've got some pieces that would make, I don't know, a guitar body. How's that? The first thing, of course, is to identify which part of the wood you're going to use and remove the nails. And sometimes that'll involve a fair bit of damage. Like I had to really dig this one out. When the head's been snapped off and they're sunken in, you have to dig. You can't really avoid that. I've just got an old screwdriver that I don't really care too much about, and I'm using that to dig away some of the wood around the nail. I wouldn't use a chisel for this, you'd wreck it. So it can take a bit of work, and you do lose a bit of the depth of the wood as a result, but you don't want to discover that there's a nail in your wood when it goes across your jointer or through your thicknessing planer. That's annoying. Right, so I've jointed one face flat. Let's take it over to the thickness planer and plane the top surface parallel with that one. Okay, so I can see where the defects are, and I'll have to work with those in some way. And obviously these holes are going to pose a problem, but I can get rid of those eventually. Now I'll repeat the process with these other two faces, and then I'll have a good look at it. That'll give me a nicely squared up piece of wood. I'll have a good look at it then to decide how to cut it to get the most out of it. So that's looking pretty good. Now I have to start thinking about how in the finished item this is going to be oriented. I wouldn't normally have to think too much about that, but it has this, I'll call it a feature. Some would call it a defect. Actually, there's some rather nice figuring in the wood there, so that could go quite nicely on top. This is obviously much too thick, so I'll cut it through that way because I've decided that's going to be the top, and I'll make two planks that are going to sit side by side to make up most of the body. Let's just not even stop here. Let's go straight over to the thicknesser and put those two halves through. Okay. So now we've got what I would call some, let's get some better light on there. We've got what I would call some nice looking recycled timber. It's going to have recycled features in it, that's okay. It's going to have some remaining nail holes. And how big is this? That's going to be too big for the thing that I have in my hand anyway. Okay, so that's about 27 centimeters, 270 millimeters wide. A guitar body, you're probably looking at about, usually at least 330 to 350 or 60 millimeters. So that's most of a guitar body, and I could put some thin pieces, some narrow pieces on each side just to make some wings, perhaps in a different color. But that, I mean, you would have looked at a piece like that and thought, oh yeah, that's, I mean, I got that whole pile of timber, which was, I don't know if you can see it, possibly you can't see it, quite substantial. It was the entirety of an old shed. I got it for about $100 because it looked kind of rubbishy. You know, it didn't look like much. Perhaps it would be firewood, they might have thought. But that's not firewood. That's going to be, I have to think about how to arrange this. I mean, there is that feature, but that's okay. Look, I'll pack that up with glue in the joint. That'll be in the middle of the body. You'll never even know it's there. Yeah, but that is, I just grazed the surface of a remaining nail in there. I might even just leave that in the body. It kind of looks cool. But there we are. Look, there's good wood all around you. Well, I've jointed the edges on the totara. Incidentally, that vise works really well. I'm very pleased I made that bench. Now, of course, you've got to decide where to match the edges. So I found some patterns that kind of make it a little bit symmetrical, which is always nice. The lines going up that way and lines going up that way. Alright, everything is jointed and glued together. I've cut away the more obviously damaged parts. I actually do wonder if the remu that I've used is a little too damaged so that there isn't enough usable material left, but we'll see. And I've rethought how I'm going to orient the wood, so that was going to be the back, it's now going to be the front. My reasoning being the pickup cavity will take care of, well, get rid of that piece of damage there. It will no longer be present. So let's see how this turns out. Right, now with all these pieces glued together and thicknessed more or less right, we need to get a guitar onto here. This is the shape of the flame, which is kind of cool, but I don't know, I think I'd like something a little bit different, but based on it. So I do like that little cutaway shape of the flame, but let's go a little bit different. A little different. Okay, how's that looking? A little weird, maybe? It's kind of experimental, isn't it? I suppose that's often the way. nice if it came in kind of deep here. What I'm thinking I'll do is get another template, because I've already, all these curves that I might want to put onto the guitar, I've already got on other templates, which makes them useful. I'll rub out some of these lines so I know which ones I'm not using. Do I want to do... Oh no, I was thinking maybe do a little flick around here. That might look a bit silly. Okay, I think I could have my shape sorted here, or something close to it. Let me work on this for a bit. I'm going to call that a day's work. Well, I mean, I haven't spent all day on the guitar. I've been doing domestic chores as well, but that's not bad. Starting with very, very rough timber, cutting it down, getting it into usable condition, jointing it, gluing up the body blank, that is, deciding on a shape, drawing it on. Tomorrow I'll start cutting.